Why not you? Why not you? With good self-esteem. Why not you starting to change, setting goals?
You are not your past. You're you. You're you right now. Like the past you did, you might have done some things you wish you hadn't done. Don't dwell on that. Learn from it, that's fine, but don't dwell on it. Just keep moving. Keep moving. Use it as fuel. Say never again. I get what I did wrong, but don't think that you're that person that made those mistakes. You're the person who's learned.
If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way.
Imagine where you would be in a year if you actually focused on the things that make you better. If you actually start doing things and you actually take action. Imagine how far you would be, bro. If you really locked in, if you really stay focused, your mindset is not on the things that you want in life.
The fastest way to losing yourself is to try and make everyone else happy. The best thing you can do is be a true north. Be you. Shine your light. Know what your core values are. Know what your belief system is. Know what your morals and your character should be. And live by that.
The road to paradise starts in hell. You have to take that bus ride, that walk, that crawl, that flight, whatever it may be, back to hell consistently. Because here's the thing, if hell comes visits you, and it visits a lot of people, it's not going to leave. And your hell is what you're willing not to acknowledge. You're not willing to acknowledge who you are, what your darkness is, what fuels you.
If you're not engaged in your life, it's because you haven't picked a dragon of sufficient merit. Is that if you haven't found meaning in your life, it's because you haven't taken on a big enough burden. That's a strange thing. It's a strange thing that that's true, but I think it is. It's the closest to truth that we have.
The purpose of life is not just to hit your goals. Your goals or your getting what you want doesn't make you happy. What makes you happy is who you become in pursuit of those goals. So the growth, the progress, even if you don't achieve it yet, but you start losing weight, or you start building muscle, or you start making your relationship better, or you start to build a business, the building, the progress is what makes you feel alive, because we're all made to either grow or die. If your relationship's not growing, it's dying. If your business is not growing, it's dying. There's no in-between bullshit. That doesn't work.
And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
It's not like you're guaranteed to kill it. Nobody is ever guaranteed to kill it. But if you don't try it, then you definitely won't. If you get after it, you got a chance. You got to fight the chance for sure. But if you never do, then what's the point of even thinking to expect any certain results?
It all starts with who you are, because who you are is your character, and your character is an accumulation of your thoughts, your habits, and your priorities on a day-to-day basis, because those three things determine the choices you make, and the choices you make you who you are. Good guy, bad guy, hard-working, lazy, responsible, irresponsible, and it takes a certain amount of discipline to do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done.
How long can you stay in that pool? How far can you run? How much can you push yourself past the part where you want to quit? How far can you keep going? There's a purity in that. It dissolves social order, all that shit. What people think about you goes out the window. Who are you right now? Who are you right now?
but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. And if you do that and you don't allow the shame and the regret and the heaviness of what you just went through, if you don't allow that to stop you and you just keep going, all that crap that you're coming in, it starts to fall off right? It starts to fall away, and eventually you're good again. You cannot allow that to stop you, and that is what stops most people. It's regret. It's shame. It's the pile of crap they had to walk through 10 years ago that they created, and because of that, they never do anything with the rest of their freaking life, man.
The only way to mitigate not being successful is to not quit. If you don't quit, you might make it.
But there's a hell of a lot more to you than you think. Like, way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world. If you had enough courage, you could let that out. Enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. Really.
So that's why I like to be isolated, and that's why this has helped me coming out here and being locked in an apartment on my own, building back up my leg, going from rehab to home, because there was no outsiders. It was isolation, it was visualization, it was motivation, and it was dedication. There was nothing else going on in my life, you know what I mean? To get to the pinnacle, it needs to be like that. It needs to be no outsiders. It needs to be, you need to have your team and your focus, and that's it. I don't need friends that aren't involved in this game, or that aren't on the same patch, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't make sense.
If you find yourself alone, you're not being isolated. You're not being forgotten. You're not being ignored. You're in the lab. But this isn't a thing where scientists walk in. No, this is where greatness is developed alone. Because in the battlefield of the mind is where you must be able to find peace. To sort out the traumas that you've been through as a child and be able to get over those things like hurdles. And after each one of those hurdles you cross, realize you're getting closer to your goal.
I'm capable of being on my own, way beyond how anybody else is. So far beyond. I can work on my own in solitude for an endless amount of time. I can outwork anybody in solitude. Why? Because I spent almost all of my time between the ages of 6 and 16 in my bedroom listening to audio tapes. Right? Listening to audiobooks and like throwing like a tennis ball against the wall. But all of that discomfort and all of the challenges that I went through there are the thing. One of the things that I'm so proud of myself for now. Okay, so what if I look back and I said, well, the bullying that I went through and the challenges of feeling alone and being on the outside of social groups meant that I developed such attenuation and attention and focus and an ability to distill down what's happening socially, which is why I became one of the best club promoters in the UK for a decade and a half. Because for all of my school life, I've been obsessing over how Alex wears his tie. Maybe that's why he has friends and I don't have friends. Okay, so looking back, would I have rather had the friends and had the brother or sister and not developed this skill? I can't split test life, so I don't know. But my life's ended up pretty good, and I'm happy with it.
I have lost a lot of the friends, or almost all of the friends that I had when I started my journey. And the upside is people will come into your life to fill the vacuum that the other people left. But sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. And I think getting comfortable with having space is a good thing. And a lot of people have the impulse or urge to always have people around them, and I think it's to their own detriment. Because I think if you can spend time alone with your thoughts and be okay with just being you without other people, then are more selective, and it's the same way with dating. Some people can't be alone, some people can't be without a significant other, and so they just end up shacking up with the first person they see after they become single again, right? And it's because they have a fear of being alone more than they think that this person is really the best pick. And so a lot of ways are similar to dating with friends in that we can hold out and really just pick the best people. If you have lost friends during the process of the climb, I don't think it is something that you should lament or be upset about.
Don't look back because the past has already been completed. What you're in is the present. Be present. Stay in the moment. In this moment, you are becoming something great. You're refining so many skills that will serve you well in the future. Your future is going to be guaranteed because of your focus right now. You're not abandoned, you're not alone. You stand in the leadership. And leadership may feel weak, but there will be people who will come and follow your lead. Don't give up, don't turn your back.
The commitments we keep to ourselves and what we do when no one's watching is the most persuasive evidence that governs everything we then do every day thereafter. And this is, for me, was a huge revelation in my life, because you can look at certain people in your lives that are struggling in certain situations, and oftentimes it's a result of continually unkept commitments to themselves.
Let the opportunities before you fashion you into the person you were meant to be. Greatness is something that you go after. Like, you must be thirsty for it. You must desire it as if it were a cup of water at the end of a long, hot day. It is nothing better. You don't need something carbonated. You don't need something sweet. You need something that can savor in the soul, because what you are is soil. You're fertile, you're growing, you're developing, and you don't need anything that's going to cast shade on the life that you're about to live, because you're about to be big enough and rooted deep enough that you can bear fruit that others can eat from generations after you're gone, because you stood alone when others felt safe in the crowd.
Most men live lives of quiet desperation. It's one of my favorite quotes ever, because it's true. And I've been that guy. You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away. You have an apartment you have to pay for. You have a car you leased. You have a wife that you have to feed. You have a child you have to raise. You have your mortgage. You have your this. You have your that. And that's where it all comes from.
Where do you think opportunity plays into it?
Well, the opportunity takes place usually when you're young and you don't have any responsibility. That's when you have your options. Well, your options are severely limited the more you gather responsibilities. Like, if I had to, as a 51-year-old father of 3, married man, pays taxes, has a house and a mortgage and a business and all that jazz, if I had to quit everything now and struggle the way I struggled as a stand-up comedian, it would never work. But the only way I could be this person now is if I took that chance when I was 21, when I was dead broke and had my cars repossessed and all that stuff. That's the only way you ever get where you want to go. You have to take a path that's dangerous, and most people want to take the safe path. The safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation almost every time. It's hell.
My personal question to you is, why not you? You've got the brains, you can make decisions, you can study the plan, you can change your life, you can grow immensely in the next few years, you can make your dreams come true, you can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through, you can become healthy, you can become powerful. Why not you?
I had to believe in it, I had to feel it, I had to have faith in it for it to happen. If I didn't, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I go here. I call it the dark home, where you're alone. No cell phones, no music, no TVs, no computers. You by yourself. Very few people want to be alone anymore. You want to be around noise and people, and they have to. You can't think. Be alone. Go to that dark space. In that dark space, shut life off. Go to a dark place in your mind and figure out what the fuck you want to be. You don't know what you don't want, because you don't know what you want to be because you haven't spent time, real time with yourself. Spend time with yourself. Trust me. And once you find that passion, that purpose, your goals, your purpose, everything will just start lining up.
My father told us that he's retiring from the game of basketball and that it was time for us to come back to America. I didn't want to come back, and my sisters didn't want to come back. But when it was time to start school, I thought that me and my sisters would be together in the same school, just like in Italy. But my sisters were older than I was, and they were starting high school. It was very hard getting adjusted, simply because I had a lot of trouble understanding English and the slang. But one thing I had in common with some of my other students and classmates was basketball. And unfortunately, because of the lack of communication with my peers, I wasn't invited to parties or family gatherings on the weekend. So on Fridays and Saturdays, I would go in my rec room with my basketball, basically dribble myself to sleep. And I think that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because during those lonely hours in the rec room, I discovered the hunger, the motivation, and the desire to be the best possible basketball player that I could be. It's a great feeling to know that you set a goal for yourself, and you were able to reach that goal and to knock it down.
Don't allow them to draw you off your purpose. You keep going, and you'll find they'll come to your tree, and they'll thank you. Your name is being carved in the annals of history. Never throw away the value of what your name is, so that you can be satisfied in the moment. Put in the work, go through the hardships, learn from them, because the greatest scholarship you have is that of God being on your side against anything that comes up against you. You are more than what you've seen. You're a hell of a lot more than what others have seen. Keep pushing forward.